Hi there again, everybody. It's good to be back with you once again. There's something that I thought of just the other day. I know that there's all sorts of talk about the college football playoff and how many teams should be in and whether we should go for this 14-team setup, that is favored in the favor of the Big Ten and the SEC. The Big Ten, by the way, that needs to change its name. But there's a thing that I thought of the other day that I don't think that many of us really consider. Have you ever considered having like a full tournament in college football? Now, if you aren't so familiar with, the Premier League and with other leagues in Europe, you probably don't know about these cups that different soccer leagues have around the world. This is where, in addition to the normal season, you also have another competition that's a tournament competition. So you get the fun of having the tournament as well as the stability of having the regular season like at the same time. Why don't we do something like this with college football? Now, I'm just looking over here at Wikipedia, so this isn't a real fancy page to look at, and it tells me there are 10 conferences and 134 schools in the football bowl subdivision, right? We've looked at the map before, and there's all sorts of, it's mostly concentrated here kind of around this bowl formation, with not too much up here in this area and all that stuff. We know all of that, but wouldn't it be interesting if you had a full tournament involving all 134 teams, like starting at the beginning of the season that continues at the same time you have normal games? Sure, it might mean that the season has to be extended or that you have 2 games a week. I'm not sure if that having 2 games a week is really all that possible, but it would certainly be probable. For the NCAA tournament, right, used to be you'd have 64 teams in March Madness. Now it's like 68 or something with the playing games. With 134 teams, to get down to 128, you just have to have, 6 playing games, right? You can make that happen. You could organize it in some way, make it so that it's really important for some of these smaller schools. Then we could have schools playing against each other. We could have dream matchups. We could have people talking about rankings again. We could have all sorts of fun if we did this sort of approach, right? Then you wouldn't have to worry so much about this whole bowl system thing as well and all this playoff and all this stuff. You just let teams win their conference, and their conference champion's the conference champion, and then the whole playoff involves all the teams, and it's completely different. Now, the problem that you have with this system is the same problem that you run into in European soccer leagues, which is that upsets happen, right? And it's going to make you feel really upset if a team in the Mountain West ends up knocking off a favored team in the Big Ten for whatever reason because of some random thing happening. That happens. That actually happens a lot, especially in European football. And so, that's the one thing I think that could sort of push people away from this. Now, the truth of the matter is that the reason why schools won't do this, the reason why this isn't going to happen is because the schools with the power in the 2 major conferences are trying to get all of the money they possibly can without allowing other schools to have any sort of shot at competing, much less winning the thing. It's been like that for my entire lifetime. In fact, it's been like that for the entirety of college football, right? If you start looking back at college football in the 40s or the 30s, you'll notice that there were a bunch of undefeated teams in different pockets of the country that never got any attention because they weren't Army or they weren't an Ivy League school, or later they weren't Notre Dame, or eventually they weren't Alabama, right? This has always been a problem here. It's always been the sport of keeping the big guys up at top and letting everybody else play and have the feeling like they can really compete. But if you really want to compete, why don't we put together a big playoff? Why not? It sounds like a lot of fun to me. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe it's a crazy idea. I'd be interested in knowing what you guys think. Let me know down below. We'll talk a little bit more later. Talk to you later. Bye.